Good morning, Los Angeles. This is David Raquel. I'm here to introduce somebody very special today. Her name is Judy Thang. Judy is an LA native and an avid supporter of local community groups such as the CCED and the Auntie Sewing Squad. This spring, she chaired a small coupon booklet campaign that raised $5,000 to assist struggling micro businesses in Chinatown, where I'm from right now. Judy is the president of the Lofty Speakers Toastmasters Club and the district director of Toastmasters District 52. And besides thanking all the wonderful translators today, I'll be joining all of you for the Lunch and Learn later today. So please join us for the Lunch and Learn when you get a little food and you'll learn a lot. So without any further ado, please welcome this morning's Mistress of Ceremonies from the Girl with Flair and Toastmasters Lofty Speakers, Ms. Judy Thang.
Good morning, LA. Welcome to the 2021 Los Angeles Congress of Neighborhoods. I'm your host today, Judy Thang, and I'm so excited to present to you today. We have a full and exciting day of events for you. So before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items that I'd like to share with you. First of all, everyone should have their Congress website loaded onto their devices. That's Congress, think of it as your TV guide so that when you need to navigate between sessions, if you're dropping out of a meeting, or if you just want to see what else is going on throughout the day, you can join. And that website is neighborhoodcongress.la. Now it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem, which will be presented by our amazing youth volunteers. Please stand and follow along as we, please stand and follow along with us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held by the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. All the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave?
Okay, and here we go, setting back down again. Housekeeping item number 2. All of our content is being recorded so that folks that cannot make it to the session, let's say you're not an early riser and you couldn't make it to animal welfare, well, fret no more. We have more than 30 workshops today, so you'll have time later on to visit our website to go over all the different things that you couldn't attend earlier. Housekeeping item number 3, and that's very important. All attendees must adhere to our code of conduct. We ask that you follow our neighborhood Council Code of Conduct and be courteous and respectful. Our Zoom wizard, Freddie, will be dropping links into our chat so you can read more about that information if you'd like. So please refrain from heckling, refrain from throwing tomatoes, because Freddie will give you the boot if you get out of line. Now for the preview of the day. After our opening session, there will be a commercial break, then 6 workshops at the same time in different Zoom rooms. We'll also have the networking lounge and exhibitor fair going on all day. Think of that as your interactive TV guide. You can visit the website to navigate these 8 channels, and between channels we have 5 to 10 minute breaks. So you can walk around, you can stretch, grab a snack, play with the cat, and then we'll be back. And if you need help with finding a session, we have, or need tech support, or have any other questions, the networking lounge is open and staff of volunteers to assist you. Again, click on the neighborhoodcongress.la to get all the help that you need from our friendly volunteers. Now we're going to call to their stage for a convocation, the chair of the Los Angeles Congress of Neighborhoods. He is the treasurer for both the Del Rey and the Central Hollywood Neighborhood Councils. He's also the leader of the group that has put in effortless hours, countless hours of blood, sweat, and tears to put this event together for you. Everyone, let's call to the virtual stage our chair of the Los Angeles Congress, Neighborhood Congress, Mr. Daniel A. Perez.
Thanks, Judy. My name is Daniel Alexander Perez, he, him pronouns, and on behalf of our planning committee, welcome to your Congress of Neighborhoods. This event, put on by neighborhood councils for neighborhood councils, hopes to highlight the best of our city, our neighborhood council leaders. Whether board members, committee members, or other involved stakeholders, we embody leading change together, the theme of this year's event. Our neighborhoods tackled many challenges this year head on, and I'm incredibly excited to be able to celebrate all of our accomplishments with you today. I'd be remiss not to recognize some of the folks who made today possible. First, the members of our planning committee, who since the fall of 2020 have been meeting and working tirelessly to produce a Congress which we've expanded from 7 topics last year to over 30 topics this year. Thank you to Kay Hartman, Richard Larson, Adriana Dela Cruz, Tony Wilkinson, Conrad Starr, Colette Amin, Heinrich Kiefer, Selena Inouye, Heather Michaels, Joy Atkinson, Glenn Bailey, Julianne Berg, Dave Brown, Dorsey Dujan, Nathan Freeman, Bob Gelfen, Eric Oxenberg, Chris Natikia, Wayne Neal, David Raquel, Voss Singh, Maria Skelton, and Ashley Zeldin. It takes an army, and your blood, sweat, and tears are acknowledged. I'd also like to recognize our sponsors, because while our costs were lower this year being online, the city, due to pandemic-related funding cuts in all of our departments, had to eliminate their contribution to our funding, which accounted for about 25% of our annual budget. We want to have a truly amazing celebration when we return to Congress next year, and a celebration we want to keep completely free and open to the public. So a special thanks to this year's gold level sponsors for being critical partners in our mission. Can Do Neighborhood Council, Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council, Eagle Rock Neighborhood Council, Encino Neighborhood Council, North Hills West Neighborhood Council, Northridge East Neighborhood Council, South Robertson Neighborhood Council, Westlake South Neighborhood Council, and West Los Angeles Sawtelle Neighborhood Council. Check out our website for the full list of sponsors and for info on how you can contribute, because it's not too early to become a sponsor for 2022. I look forward to learning and leading with all of you today and throughout the year, no matter what life throws at us. So thank you everyone for giving your Saturday to this event. Our speakers, our workshop presenters, our support in the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, our volunteers, and of course, the members of our 99 neighborhood councils in attendance today. And now it is my honor to call the 2021 Los Angeles Congress of Neighborhoods Leading Change Together officially in session.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, guess what time it is? It's raffle time. And that means that I have this beautiful swag bag from the neighborhood councils. What's inside, you ask? Well, there's another bag inside. And in addition, we have a squeeze toy. We have a metal, a magnet that you can stick your phone to, a cute little robot. Let's see, we have 5, this is my favorite, 5 vintage collectible pins from previous neighborhood council events. We also have a flashlight. We have some more things from your phone and so much more. And actually, this is the most useful, a metal tool. Now, how do you get this swag bag? We're giving 10 away. And in between each workshop, we'll drop a link in the chat box. If you click on the link and fill in this really short 5-question survey, you'll be entered to win. And not just once, but 6 times. So go, if you attend up to 6 workshops, you can get 6 entries and get a chance to win this. We'll be announcing the winners at the end of the event, and we'll contact you after to get your delivery address. Now, moving on. Our next speaker is someone who's very familiar to our neighborhood council. General Manager of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, Raquel Beltran. Raquel has worked for over 3 decades in community organizing, executive management, and policy skills, public policy skills that she's leveraged to serve as the executive of the city department tasked with promoting civic participation and making government more responsible to local needs. Without further ado, please welcome to the virtual stage, Raquel Beltran.
Thank you, Judy, for that gracious introduction. I'm honored to be introduced by someone who represents such a remarkable organization as Toastmasters International. The district you represent, 52, comprises more than 90 clubs, almost as many as the neighborhood council system. I've personally observed the great work of Toastmasters over the years and can testify to the confidence building changes I have seen in many, many people. I've been particularly impressed with the Toastmasters work with young people aspiring to be future leaders in our communities, future neighborhood council leaders, perhaps. To the Honorable Mayor Eric Garcetti, Council President Nury Martinez, Executive Director, General Manager, and friend Capri Maddox, the inspiring Sherman Oaks, Chatsworth, and Pacoima youth leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, President Eli Lipman, Vice President Ray Regalado, Commissioners Len Schaefer, Maggie Derek Quiroz, Quinn Vo Ramirez, Debbie Wiebe, and Joy Atkinson, esteemed colleagues and fellow general managers, Congress of Neighborhood Planning Committee Chairperson Daniel Perez, and members of the Congress of Neighborhoods Planning Committee, to the Neighborhood Council Alliances, to the numerous guest speakers, panelists, and presenters in today's event, and to the over 500 neighborhood council leaders here today to lead change together. Greetings and welcome. It gives me great pleasure to join you all today. I want to thank President Nury Martinez not only for her support for the system of neighborhood councils, but for her legislative leadership over the years. You have shown us by example how to make difficult choices while keeping us on a safe path during this global pandemic. Thank you. The history of Los Angeles and its evolution into the metropolis of today is complicated. Much of its existence was the result of a series of strategies aimed to build an interconnected and competitive infrastructure. The strategy involved the creation of mega projects to create a port, bring water, build an international airport, and a single uninterrupted 20-mile rail highway system. These mega projects required mega agencies, proprietary departments. The creators of this vision created agencies managed by a delicately balanced arrangement between political oversight and agency financial independence with the ability to initiate policy. The charters of 1925 through 1980 enshrined efficiency with debated controls over contracts, leases, and purchases. But what about the communities? The communities around the aqueducts and the dams, the communities surrounding the airport, the ports. What about the communities along the $2.4 billion Alameda corridor? After building this illustrious system with carefully controlled responsibilities for revenue generation and economic development, essentially in the hands of a small number of individuals, the city experienced an enormous triple hit to the economy. In the 1990s, the Cold War ended. 200,000 jobs were lost to cutbacks in defense-dependent economies. Historically low unemployment soared in 1993 to a third higher than national average. 27% of the nation's job loss between 1990 and 92 took place in Los Angeles. The 1992 riots became the nation's worst 20th century urban disorder. But again, I ask, what of the communities of Los Angeles? What happened to you? What happened to the communities was what Harvard Kennedy School professor Marshall Ganz refers to as the public narrative. Through the theory of public narrative, communities are defined by solidarity, empathy, love, and counter-isolation. Communities took their experience and dealt with the hopelessness by giving hope and the self-efficacy necessary to know what you could do to make a difference. Communities harness the power of stories, of challenges and choices to define what's at stake. The result was you, a pathway to action through a grassroots system of locally elected public officials. Now, this was easier said than done. The debate surrounding local self-governance has a long history in the United States and Los Angeles. What I admire most about you is your perseverance. You seem to draw your greatest strength in times of uncertainty and confusion. Uncertainty is the domain in which leadership evolves. You are constantly asking yourself, how do I find the way to enable others and give hope? The department is committed to your success. The same is true of our colleagues in the offices of the city attorney and the city clerk, with whom we have a triad relationship. Our leadership team, Armando Ruiz, Thomas Sung, Mike Fong, and Julian Antolin, and my colleagues in the department carry out their work with the entire system in mind, in NC Voice. Last year, we created an empowered virtual governance system. This year, we formed a 27-member EVG work group to help think through how an EVG hybrid system might work. We're leading the state. In 2021, election strategy plan with the support of the city clerk resulted in a difference of less than 700 votes in 2021 when compared with 2019. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners is responding to NC calls for policy reform, including a written, comprehensive, and streamlined policy infrastructure that will support processes for resolving neighborhood council internal conflicts in a balanced, consistent, and timely manner, our harmonious policy framework, with over 400 leaders having joined the info workshops to share their perspectives. In response to NC calls, we are launching a multi-tiered neighborhood council awareness engagement survey to 1 million residents. Combined with our Get Involved micro-targeting social media campaign, ad campaign, this effort informs residents about the existence of neighborhood councils, asks them what issues are of interest to them, and invites them to get involved in their neighborhood councils. During our 2 sets of information and outreach workshops last year, you requested the department support neighborhood council leaders by helping them understand their duties and responsibilities. Our Neighborhood Core Institute is the result. It is doing just that with 3 modules and special workshops, such as the Civic University administered by the Pat Brown Institute. Approximately 500 leaders are participating in the Institute now. Each election brings a 40 to 50% turnover in neighborhood council board leadership. Our hope is to administer the Institute's onboarding series on an annual basis, along with targeted workshops in the areas your evaluations tell us are of greatest need to you. In order for the neighborhood council system to function properly, it must involve the people in the community served. Our racial equity and inclusion plan includes goals to improve gender, LGBTQ+, and Black, Indigenous, and people of color populations to engage them and to see them represented on neighborhood council boards. As you can see, our efforts are data-driven to enable us to strategically use our resources to support your needs. One of the most important data projects is our Neighborhood Empower LA Listening Survey, funded by the Foundation for Shared Insight and the Innovation and Performance Commission. This survey, released yesterday, asks you to share your views about how well we included you in our efforts, how well we listened. Equally important will be to share what changes we made in our operational support as a result of your responses, and to resurvey you to measure improvement using a net promoter score used in the private sector. As I think about the work of neighborhood councils since March 2020, a quote about the pandemic from Bechara Choike, Kaiser Permanente Senior Vice President and Chief Health Officer, comes to mind. The pandemic reinforces what we already know. We can't keep people healthy if they don't have a roof over their head or food on the table. You knew this instinctively, and we helped you do your thing. The result was the infusion of over $250,000 of much needed support to your communities. As we all know, the pandemic is still with us, but the repair to our communities will take years. The city needs a well-functioning neighborhood council system by its side to rebuild what we have lost. Neighborhood councils are the most localized, municipal-centered space for resident civic activity. We all know people in positions of authority who exercise no leadership. Not you. You exercise leadership all the time from accessible community spaces solely motivated to serve. You use, as Gans says, the story of self, us, and now. You've created a culture to act purposefully, and you have our support. So continue to seek, continue to share, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Raquel. Up next, we are pleased to share with you a short video from the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. Please sit back and enjoy.
Hi, my name is Eli Lippman, and I represent the West area of the City of Los Angeles on the Neighborhood Council Commission, BONC.
My name is Leonard Schaefer, and I represent the South Valley area.
I'm Joy Atkinson, and I represent South Los Angeles on the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. The citizens that make up the neighborhood councils are the eyes and ears of their neighbors.
I think the neighborhood council system is a fantastic opportunity for individuals to really learn about and engage with their neighbors and do great things in their neighborhood.
Neighborhood councils give stakeholders the opportunity to become part of the city's governing structure. Although neighborhood councils are advisory bodies, they can learn to effectively influence the political decision makers. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners is a charter-created body whose members are appointed by the mayor.
The BONC is responsible for the policy setting and policy oversight with regards to the neighborhood council system.
We're a 7-person, all-volunteer commission appointed by the mayor, and we oversee all 99 neighborhood councils as well as the department.
I would encourage citizens to attend the BONC meetings, which are held every first Tuesday in the evening at 6 p.m. and or every third Monday where they're held at 1 p.m.
So you can come and give public comment. You can actually sign up for our agendas on the early notification system.
When we go back to in-person meetings, one of the best ways to get involved is to attend our evening meetings that occur all over the city.
There are many good restaurants in South Los Angeles, but one of the best is Harold and Bell's on Jefferson.
Love Versailles right now, the Cuban restaurant. There's 3 in the city, one in the West San Fernando Valley, one in my neighborhood where I started neighborhood councils in Palms, and then one on La Cienega.
The South Valley has many good restaurants, but if you enjoy barbecue, I would recommend Rib Ranch Barbecue south of Ventura on Topanga Canyon Boulevard.
I have to try some of those restaurants. I have tried some of those restaurants, but there's so many in LA. Now moving on. Before we jump into our next video messages, I just want to remind you folks that we have 6 workshops in each session today, but also today we're debuting our online exhibitor fair. Now, back then, if you have gone to our previous events, we have department and organizations tabling in the City Hall Rotunda, this beautiful place. But today we'll have folks tabling in Zoom rooms throughout the day. So you can pop in, ask questions, get handouts and chat with representatives. Just refer to your TV guide, which is the neighborhoodcongress.la, to navigate to that link. In addition to that, we have our networking lounge. So you have tech support and you have help desk, and you have volunteers that are there to help you move from room to room if you get stuck. But the great thing about the networking lounge is you can network. So let's say you're in a workshop and it has just ended, but you have a bunch of questions or you still have conversation going on. Just pop into our networking lounge and one of our volunteers will create a breakout room for you so you can have a private chat and continue your conversation there. Nothing beats meeting in person with our fellow neighborhood council members, but hopefully the exhibitor fair and the networking lounge can help bridge the divide without having to drive all the way to downtown. You do miss out on the ramen in Little Tokyo though. That's all I have to say. Okay, so for our next portion, we have the honor to share a message from Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, who wants to welcome everyone to this year's Congress.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all. And I want to thank the Congress of Neighborhoods for bringing us together yet again, and all the elected officials, commissioners, neighborhood council members, and the hardworking city staff here, especially Empower LA, for all the support you always give us. We are marking an amazing milestone today, 20 years of Angelenos volunteering their time and energy, pouring their hearts and their souls into the work of improving their neighborhoods. I've witnessed that. And we're also celebrating some of our newest board members, and congratulations to you and welcome. You've stepped into this leadership role, joined this movement because you want to make a difference for your fellow Angelenos, and you're committed to improving your neighborhood. Today, you're going to hear from each other, the best part of this day, participate in workshops, and connect with other leaders in our city. And I'm sure that you'll walk away with tons of ideas, a long to-do list, and feel as inspired and energized as I do every single day working on our city. We'll continue to address poverty and food security, homelessness, make our neighborhoods safer and more secure, healthier, and to build a more sustainable, resilient, and equitable city. So thank you for all you contribute to our city, to your communities. Thank you for your extraordinary partnership. And if I can just indulge you with a point of personal privilege, after 20 years, I came in just as neighborhood councils did. It's been the honor of my lifetime to represent all of you. And as I transition into my next chapter, know I will always be an Angeleno. When some people say, well, you won't even be here as mayor, I say, I'll be worse. I'll be a resident, a taxpayer, and maybe even one day, a neighborhood council member. So thank you for being the vanguard, the hope, the aspiration, the vision of our city. You truly are angels in the city of angels, and it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve alongside you.
Next up, we have one more video for you, and that is a special message from City Council President Nury Martinez.
Hello, my name is Nury Martinez, and I'm the president of the Los Angeles City Council. I am honored to speak to you today as you meet with your neighbors, community members, and fellow Angelinos at the largest annual gathering of neighborhood council leaders. As someone who has been involved in advocating for my neighborhood since I was very young, I cannot overstate the importance of the work you're doing. No one knows their street better, their parks better, and their schools better than the people in their own neighborhoods. You all have your ears to the ground, serving as a vital link to us at City Hall to help keep our city running. On behalf of the Los Angeles City Council, I want to thank you for all the hard work you do for our city we love, Los Angeles. Good luck today and have a successful 2021 Congress of Neighborhoods.
Thank you, Council President Martinez, for that awesome video. It is now my distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker. Capri Maddox is the first executive director and general manager of the new Los Angeles Civil, Human Rights, and Equity Department. Appointed by Mayor Garcetti in February 2020, Capri and her team strive to maintain and strengthen the city's diversity, equity, and accountability. She is focused on reducing bias and injustices while leveling the playing field through community engagement, equity initiatives, and upward mobility programming. Please join me in welcoming Capri Maddox.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Judy, for your kind introduction. I want to definitely also thank Mayor Eric Garcetti, who is a champion for LA civil rights and for our neighborhoods. And definitely, we could not do our work without our council members as well as city staff. I couldn't thank the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners enough as well for their leadership, some of whom I've worked with for many years, like Lynn Schaefer and Joy Atkinson, but I really appreciate the work of your bonk members. Especially want to thank my fellow general manager and friend, Raquel Beltran, and the team over at Dunn Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is just amazing. They really work hard to do so much for so many in our city, and we can't thank them enough for their work. I'd also like to thank our event chair, Daniel A. Perez, and everyone who was involved in making this happen. I know we even have a few staff members from the Civil Rights Department that'll be in your breakout rooms. Jamana Cillian Saba, David Price, Vivica Rush, and Brooke Helmet will be with you today as the day goes on. I wanted to also thank the many staff members that and the many volunteers that have done work in this space. Colette, you are a champion and no one can say no to you. So you just ask for the world for your neighborhood councils, and we will always, as your city family, be here to support you. As noted earlier, my name is Capri Maddox. I'm the general manager and executive director of the LA Civil Rights Department here in Los Angeles, and our formal name is Civil, Human Rights, and Equity Department. But I want you to know that before I was appointed to lead this department, I worked in our neighborhoods. Ever since I was 7 years old, working on campaigns, passing out flyers, doing community engagement, volunteering in so many ways down in my local park. But I think it's important to know that in my professional capacity, I served as the president of the Board of Public Works, the general counsel, 2 neighborhood councils, more than a decade ago now almost. And I also served in our school district as head of partnerships for LAUSD under Austin Butner, who was the previous superintendent. I have the pleasure of working with neighborhood councils in so many ways over the lifetime of my career, even as a neighborhood prosecutor working at Wilshire Station or a senior level person at the city attorney's office. And I think it is really important to know that I am a daughter of Los Angeles. So it has been a wonderful experience to be able to be here as a resident, be here as someone at a local public elementary school, to serve in the Los Angeles community in the various roles that I've had. But it's been an honor. And I think the mayor said it well, an honor of a lifetime to do this work. But I love the neighborhood councils because you infuse so much into Los Angeles. And we are lucky enough to have what makes a neighborhood. And I know what makes a neighborhood. I know that we have small businesses that donate to the Little League teams, the local schools that donate meals for families, especially in tough times, our CERT teams that are prepared to support us through any unknown crisis, and then the grandmothers that are on the corner who look out for everyone. I think, knowing to walk the streets from Sun Valley to South LA, I've seen neighborhoods in action, whether it's in my capacities in public works, community safety, civil rights. The real work starts in our neighborhoods. And at LA Civil Rights, we address injustices as they relate to commerce, education, employment, and housing. And what I think is really important is, but we touch on so many things, and some of you have been so kind to support the work that we've done with the LA is for All campaign. I know that that is something that our neighborhood councils have been on the front lines in public service for so many ways. All of you have answered the call to serve. And as members of our neighborhood council system, you all are on the front lines of public service. You know issues before people in City Hall know, and oftentimes you're able to resolve them before people in City Hall can. And during this past year, it proved the importance of your work, from meal kits that were delivered to seniors to backpacks for school children. It was a neighborhood councils who led the charge to help folks in need. And basically when our city was falling down, you all stood up. You were the ones delivering the meals. You were translating documents, and you were bringing critical life saving information to your community. And many of you have volunteered at COVID-19 testing sites, and you continue to volunteer at our Connect Days to help our unhoused population. And we just know in the city that when a crisis hits, there is no replacing neighborhood leaders who stand up to serve. And let me tell you, your service is needed badly. We are a city of 4 million people, and city staff can't do it alone. So we want to encourage and inspire you to not only serve, but to continue to serve and learn of new ways to serve, because your voice is valued here in the city of Los Angeles. COVID-19 has widened the inequities in our city like never before. The digital divide is keeping many of our children away from their potential, and hate crimes continue to reach unprecedented levels. We stand in a moment of great change in our city, and we can rise to meet the challenge, or we can miss this moment and fall into anger and division and despair. But we can lift each other up, not tear each other apart. And so I want to remind you all that change is needed in Los Angeles. And that's the focus of this year's conference. And I think it's important, this year's Congress, and I think it's important to know that, and yet once again, change is going to happen because of leaders in our neighborhood. Leaders like you feel the pain, you know how to heal people, you know how we have opportunities to grow together. And in LA Civil Rights, we count neighborhood councils as one of our core partners, along with the philanthropic, business, college and universities, as well as our community-based organizations. But you all have been a part of a number of things that our department has been able to do to date. I know Granada Hills Neighborhood Councils and Bank, and we've been at a number of meetings all over the city. I think one of my very first meetings was with Slang. So I just think it's so important to know that your work and your commitment to Los Angeles has not only helped us with our new department, but you continue the theme of change, of leading change together, and we're doing this together. whether it's at an anti-bias training workshop or joining the LA for All campaign with a poster or a bumper sticker. I think it's important to know there are many ways to join our effort for justice and inclusion in Los Angeles. We know we need change. We know that we know that normal wasn't working for everyone. So we say back to normal. Normal was not working for everyone, but let's do all we can while we can to serve the communities we love. And by doing so, we will build the Los Angeles we need and deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maddox. When you mentioned diversity, equity, and accountability, I'm sure all the neighborhood council members were like, yes, bing, bing, bing. It resonates with all of us and it speaks to our heart. So thank you. Your work is vital to the city and so inspirational to all of us. Okay, so we have one more video for you all today. And this is the part of the program where we pay homage to the neighborhood council leaders we've lost since our last Congress. Okay. So for those listed and those whose names were not submitted, we still hold them in our hearts. And we'll now take a moment of silence to honor those who are no longer with us. Okay. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our opening session of the 2021 Los Angeles Congress of Neighborhoods. So just a reminder, please check the chat for the links that you'll need to navigate. Neighborhoodcongress.la is where you should go to navigate to all the different workshops. Thank you so much.
Up next, we're going to have a commercial break featuring a message from City Attorney Mike Feuer and a video highlighting the work of the Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council during the onset of COVID-19 pandemic. The commercial will play in the same Zoom room, so no need to change the channel yet. But this Zoom room will close after the commercial. So everyone should head over to the website and get ready to change the channel and click on the next session link after the commercial. Thank you for allowing Judy and everyone here to join you today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure everyone here is grateful for the work you are doing in your communities.
Bye now.